The way whenever I play Darkest Dungeon on stream now, I title it "They Keep Dying Until I Learn."
Yeah. Do you name your characters after faithful viewers or?
I haven't done that yet. Not yet. I've been too busy looking at the mechanics. All right, let's kick this off. We have a game. First up, we have the Ouroboros Ryders. Or wait, is that correct? No, the Maenad Ryders on the red side.
Maenad.
Right, Maenad. The first ship, the Ouroboros Immobile, being piloted by Arius. Hades up top with Artemis Banshee on the lower deck, Artemis and Gatling on the upper. They're running alongside the Liberator, a galleon being piloted by Skybox, port side, Hades, Flak, and Lumberjack, with the starboard side, Maenad and Watcha.
And on the Storm Riders, we have the good old fancy pilot by Dementio, because I refuse to call him Daniel. And he has two Artemis, barking dog like Maenad, Hades, and another barking dog. And then we have the Lipsy, which is piloted by the ever lovely Luosi, and it's a Gatling Banshee, Maenad.
Yeah, really classic.
Squid,
like that's the Gatling Banshee is the squid that I've always thought has impressed me the most.
It's classic Storm Riders. See, they're split up, and then soon they'll have the engagement.
So
where
right
Lip
now,
comes in behind.
yeah, right now Mobula versus Galleon. Mobula, I'd say, winning out in general, but mostly they're buying time for Libsy to come around. And here we go. First volley goes out, mostly ineffective. That was a little disappointing. Ouroboros is still getting hit by the Banshee, and in the meantime, Liberator and Fancy have been left all on their lonesome, but Fancy has nudged a tower. So they're going to have a little bit of trouble in the engagement as soon as the Galleon can reload, but the Ouroboros in the meantime has found its feet against the squid. Put out some decent hull damage on it. Armor is breaking continually as the Gatling finally comes out to try and suppress some of the damage on the Ouroboros, but the armor's still up. They have a little bit of time. There we go. Mallet just in time before the fire burns it out. Libsy in a horrible amount of trouble. Ouroboros can honestly let its armor go if they really want to.
Well, they have time to both chem spray and
yeah, they're going to do it anyway,
it now,
just
so
thanks to the reloads. In the meantime, Liberator and Fancy are still awkwardly nudging each other. Maenad actually in range on the Liberator, going to pop that balloon, drop them down. They're bottoming out just a little bit there. Fancy has got to be really careful they don't lose their balloon over that particular, well, drum, I guess that is. It's going to be difficult to follow the Liberator down.
you think?
And by difficult, I mean impossible.
just shoot and slam yourself into the refinery.
Why aren't I going down?
That'll be me asking that.
Fancy has managed to move itself away, but it's given the Liberator an opportunity to come back up. And the Ouroboros, now that it's shaken the Libsy for a little while, has managed to put some shots at the Fancy, but now the Libsy has put itself in an even better position. The Gatling finally going into the armor. Buff Gatling still not enough to bring down the armor. They managed to pull the Ouroboros away, but now they're in trouble. Liberator managing to put some shots into the Fancy. Maenad not able to pop the balloon. It's not there. And the barking dog is proving to do more.
Lipsy made a little funny thing here. He actually pulled the Ouroboros off Fancy by turning him. So it's a 1v1 now.
Yeah, it's a 1v1. Libsy is in a huge amount of trouble, though. Like, it can't keep this up. The Banshees are lighting fires. Armor's dropping.
All he's doing now is just buying time for Fancy to kill the Liberator.
Yeah, but it's taking way too long, and Galleons take a long time to grind out on the bottom of the map. I think that it's more like the Liberator is buying time for the Ouroboros to kill the Libsy than Libsy is buying time for the Fancy.
Yeah, I guess it's going both ways right now.
Oh, Liberator finally bottoming out, and there we go. The hull break from the Fancy is going to allow this kill to happen much faster. It's a race against time for both ships. Libc still engaging the Ouroboros, but it's put itself in a terrible position. Hull break not there, though. They're going to be granted a reprieve. Fancy, in the meantime, nuzzling the Liberator to death, trying to shove it into the side of the mountain, and it's working. Carronade going into the armor right now as the balloon is popped. The armor does drop just barely. They couldn't get the mallet whack. Even with everyone on the armor, they couldn't repair it in time. In the meantime, Libc still alive and behind the Ouroboros. Now it's moving in front of it, actually. This could prove to be disastrous.
Ah, he's above him then.
Now he is, yeah, but there we go.
Yeah,
Gatling
but now
coming back
the
out
Gatling's
again.
back.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was afraid of. Ouroboros going to burn hydrogen, trying to destroy the Libc in time. The Libc is still alive, and the armor comes back up just in time to stop the Artemis shot as the Fancy finishes the Ouroboros off. What an
These
engagement.
can be broken. They can be beaten.
These caves are crawling with pelagic nightmares. Like
I like
squids.
your impression of him. It's just
I was only half-heartedly trying.
sounded like you were trying to be Sean Connery or something.
These caves are filled with pelagic nightmares.
Well, there goes the engines.
Oh no, yeah, that spawn from the Liberator was awful for the Libc. It's alive, technically. There we go. It's gonna be okay for now. Liberator and Ouroboros don't have the speed to catch up with it. It's gotta be really careful about how it engages now. Like, it has to
Holy
balloon block.
shit.
But that's a dangerous
They're hitting
proposition
with
against the Lumberjack.
Yep, they finally hit.
So I'm wondering, like right now the Storm Riders are in a really tricky position because the Libc is
Yep.
so low on hull. It can't dance around the Ouroboros. They can't mimic the last engagement they had. They got to do something new, or else they're just going to lose someone right off the bat. And that's not the way you want to start an engagement. Here we go, Libc engaging, Gatling going out on the armor, not going to be able to pop it in the first go. Pretty much guaranteed.
It's gonna take a while.
It's going to give Ouroboros time to come in, but that's opened them up to the Fancy. The Fancy, though, is going to lose Arc right now. Libc now under fire. Watch it goes out. Arm is still up. And Ouroboros, however, does have Arc. The Hades hasn't come out yet. Libc burns Hydro before the Hades starts landing their balloon. They do have a chem sprayed, so they'd be fine. And they have buffed engines, so their retreat is going to be very quick. Fancy, though, is going to be all
that
alone.
flank so well.
Yeah, Fancy's all
Just
alone
immediately.
right now.
Yeah.
I'm worried. If Liberator and Ouroboros just back up, they'll very suddenly have arcs on it, and Fancy has revealed itself. Liberator sees them, eating Hades fire, backing up now. Libc is going to have to come back in. This is not a sustainable engagement. Like, at this point, the Storm Riders are just going to go back and forth, each of them trading off taking fire and chips of hull damage until they lose. Libc finally coming back in. Ouroboros has no arc. Liberator doesn't have arc either. It's targeting down the Fancy. I think they want to try to kill it before it can get away, but the Libc is proving to be difficult. Fancy about to lose armor. There goes the hull. Flak goes high. There's nothing there, but the Fancy still only... Oh my god. The armor comes back up just in time, but Ouroboros has put itself in an amazing position. Great Banshee shots into the tail of the Fancy. Gonna burn it down. Libc now all alone in a terrible position, but the Liberator has lost its armor. Banshee should be able to chip away, but the Libc's engine column is open to the Ouroboros. Artemis, not there. No fires. Armor gets whacked. There we go. Watcha going to
Good
load
night,
into the
sweet
engine
friends.
column. There go the buffs, and now it's just drifting. Easy shots for the Hades and Artemis. 2 for 2. However, Storm Riders did manage to get a fair bit of hull damage on the Liberator, so I'd
And
say
have
that could have gone a lot
advantage.
worse.
Kill advantage, so
Yeah,
it's
first
still
skill
on red
advantage.
team to attack them.
First skill advantage is pretty big. Even with the aggression of the Riders, because of the squid and the galleon, engagements can take a significant portion of time.
I want to see spires.
Yeah, I've seen spires. I just am never impressed. Unless there is one instance in which I've been impressed, and that's when they've been used on Peryton Rumble. That's it. Here we go. So the Fancy spawned in Arc. Lib C in the meantime, coming around from the side. And it's going to be able to get right behind the Ouroboros. And because the Liberator is so low on hull, that engagement that they did the first time is much more possible.
There's too many misses from Fancy.
Yeah, Fancy isn't landing its shots, but it's buying time. It's not taking damage, so it's okay.
But the
Ouroboros being forced down. It's going to take at least one more go with the Gatling, and the hydrogen is going to ensure that they survive this particular clip. They'll be fine. Banshee, however, is going to cause chaos.
This time Lucy is actually in the advantage because he's just backing out now. I think he learned his lesson before.
Yeah, here we go. Ouroboros losing their armor. They already burnt the hydrogen. So they don't really have anywhere to go. They got to keep repairing that balloon if they want to go anywhere. Lib C loses its armor, but the Banshee isn't in Arc. Looks like they're going to be fine. Armor drops on the Ouroboros again. In the meantime, the Liberator duking it out with the Fancy, and the Fancy absolutely coming out on top. Carronade finally going to the balloon. Wasn't there before. Lib C losing their armor again and again. Banshee and Arc. Ouroboros desperately trying to turn that big bar of soap to get Arc, but not quite able to do so.
The Liberator lost his balloon, slowly going to his demise.
Yeah, that definitely was looking to go in one particular side's favor, a Fancy side, if you will. Fancy's got to be careful not to bottom out, though. It's a very similar problem to what we were seeing before. It just feels much more.
He bumped.
It's not a big issue, though, because the guns are still in Arc. Armor breaks. And I don't think it's going to come up soon enough. Oh, my God. They actually managed to survive that, but they've lost their balloon again. 3 sacks of fire on the hull.
Come on, Ram.
Do it. Nuzzle of death.
Do it.
11 sacks of fire. I think that was... I think that was incendiary ammo on the Carronade. Which I like.
Yeah?
In fact, I'm almost 100% certain that was incendiary ammo on the Carronade. Like, how else would they get 11 sacks of fire in the balloon like that? Pause.
Just checking now. Well, obviously it was that, but... Why did that hook in?
There's spots, so I don't think that they can call a pause. Okay, so Kairos is saying pause. Even though the Ouroboros just spawned in. Because I think the pause request came out before the spawn.
The Galleon has only 2 chem sprays, so eventually it'll start hooking in.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, the Carronade popped the balloon, they brought the balloon back up, but then like they had to keep repairing it. They didn't have time for the chem spray.
Yeah, at the same time you have to tank hull.
It's just a little bit too much, like as soon as you've bottomed out. And on top of that, the Fancy was using hull break to further push the necessity for repairing the armor. Like, I think if they didn't have the Artemis trained on him, and the Banshee...
Yeah, it's controlling the engineers on the enemy team. If you start taking out a gun, if you take out a gun, they have to repair the gun. If you then start hitting their hull, they have to go to hull, take out the balloon. The engineers have to split between the hull and balloon. And then there's only one guy able to repair.
Yeah, there's actually double Carronade on the Fancy, which is really interesting, not something that we usually see. Now Ouroboros, here come the Hades. Lib C, once again, coming in from the side. It's going to have great arc.
So far away from each other.
Buffed Gatling is ready. Yeah, Fancy and Ouroboros are charging in at one another. But where's the Liberator?
He spawned the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Ouroboros is in a lot of trouble. Liberator has got to do work with his first volley. Lib C, however, already putting damage with the Banshee into the hull of the Ouroboros. Whoa, Liberator careens past. It's actually putting the Ouroboros between itself and the Lib C. Fancy, in the meantime, taking a fair bit of damage, but the Banshee from Lib C is too much, it looks like, and it only will take one more kill for the Storm Riders to take this. Ouroboros brings its armor back up, and Liberator has some good shots, but they run Yeah, they turned the guns out of arc. They didn't have the control. They needed the Watcher there sooner. Storm Riders going to move on to the finals.
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 Alright, coming up, Maenad Rider versus Skyborn.
Yeah, is that going to be here? Or is that going to be on the other stream?
It's gonna be here.
Okay, perfect. We'll have more Goyo coming up in just a few minutes.